Alrighty, it is now December 12th. We are just 8 days away from the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. A lot of fans around the world are very curious, excited, apathetic towards this film, worried about The Rise of Skywalker, or just really don't care about this movie. There's a lot of different feelings and thoughts among many Star Wars fans around the world before they go into Episode 9, or, well, don't go into Episode 9. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, you guys may have seen the leaked soundtrack just the other day and how it matches up with all of the leaks for The Rise of Skywalker, and I wanted to go over one of the actual segments in the third act of Episode 9 that really just wrecks my happiness. I will be honest with you. Now, the leak is actually said to be true, though it really does wreck my happiness because of specific decisions that they have made for a specific character and how it affects another character that fans have known and loved for many years within the Skywalker saga. Now, on top of all of this, we do know that yes, J.J. Abrams is using this film as a foundation to create new Star Wars lore, and also as a way to introduce new Force powers. Now, on top of all of this, alright, what's really intriguing about this is that shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that after Rey's encounter with her dark self, known as Dark Rey, which was a test done by Palpatine, it's explained that Palpatine was able to project the Dark Rey vision within Rey's mind, as she is said to touch the Wayfinder device inside of the second Death Star wreckage. Later on in the film, once Rey arrives on the world of Exegol, she is said to walk slowly and casually toward Palpatine's throne, where tons of lightning can be seen revealing Palpatine's figure hooked up to a strange device in the sequence. Lightning can actually be seen also during the segment, revealing his figure even closer. This is said to be a moment in which both Rey and Palpatine meet for the first time, where he confirms who she really is and that she is indeed his granddaughter, and that Palpatine would like her to become Empress Palpatine, to rule the final order. Palpatine is said to even beg Rey to strike him down so that she could take over the final order and become Empress, where this is actually said to be where Ben Solo arrives, where the fight is said to begin. Now, it's explained that the battle between Palpatine, Rey, and Ben Solo is very brief and keeps cutting back to the Resistance Space Horse scene, where one of the segments involves Palpatine shooting Force lightning at Rey and Kylo, where this is where they both block the lightning with Leia and Anakin's lightsabers, where eventually Palpatine drains their Force energy like a Force vampire and is able to rejuvenate himself. His eyes are said to transform from white to the traditional yellow Sith eyes, where he unleashes his Force storm and wrecks ships above. Ben Solo gets up and defends Rey and confronts Palpatine and is in a showdown and is actually shot down into a bottomless pit, where this is where the Force ghosts reach out to Rey, where Rey takes both Anakin and Leia's lightsabers and forms an X, blocking the Force lightning by Palpatine, where here, Rey is said to become the Chosen One and takes the title from Anakin Skywalker since she is the one to destroy the Sith once and for all. Palpatine's death is similar to Lord Voldemort's in the Harry Potter franchise, where he begins to shred apart into pieces and disintegrates by his own power and eventually explodes. Rey is said to be the one to kill the Sith once and for all, however, is killed temporarily in the process. Ben Solo crawls out of the pit and makes his way over to Rey and gives her his own life force, a selfless act where they kiss and he dies, unto the world of Tatooine now, where Rey is with her friends, looking at a binary sunset near the Lars homestead. The villager asks who she is, and she is said to call herself Rey Skywalker, and that the entire meaning of the film's title is because Rey takes the Skywalker name as the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia watch over Rey at the very beginning and at the very end before the credits roll. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this really wrecks my happiness for many different aspects of the Star Wars franchise. Now, let me just stop here for 1 second. I'm sure that a lot of you guys out there, a handful of you Star Wars fans, are going to appreciate or at least somewhat like the part where Ben Solo crawls out of the pit and goes over to Rey and transfers his life force over to her to bring her back to life, essentially. They kiss and he dies, where Rey sprints her way out as the cave tumbles or, pretty much turns into rubble, and she gets out of there in time. So I get it. If you guys like that, that's fine. But there are many different elements in here that I really dislike. And I want to go over one of the segments first, is that basically there is a segment in the film in which Palpatine dies by the hands of Rey by his own power. So essentially what happens is that Palpatine's death is said to be similar to Lord Voldemort's in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I don't know if you guys saw the film, but essentially, and spoiler warning, essentially in the film, Voldemort literally disintegrates, getting shredded piece by piece. And Palpatine is said to die the same exact way, except it's kind of like a combination between him disintegrating and exploding into thin air, if that makes sense. It might seem a little confusing, but that's the best way to describe it. And that is the death of Palpatine by the hands of Rey. Rey becomes the Chosen One. So, those are my two problems. That's strike one, is that Rey becomes the Chosen One in the movie. She takes it away from Anakin, and she is the one to destroy Palpatine once and for all. Not a Skywalker, not Ben Solo, but Rey. Somebody who has 1 year's worth of training destroys Palpatine, who has over 100 years worth of Sith training. Now, listen, I get it. She gets the help through the Force Ghosts. You know, that's Disney's way of justifying that Rey has the capability to destroy Palpatine, where Luke says, 1,000 generations live in you now. Are they going to cut that line of dialogue out from the movie and it's only used in trailers? That's a big question open on the table for discussion, but it is meant for that particular segment. So, with that being said, I still feel that Rey, being the one destroying Sidious, was not the way to go. If it were up to me, it would have been, and it would have gone this way, where Kylo Ren would have confronted the Emperor and would have been the one to combine himself with the Force Ghosts, take on Palpatine, destroy the Sith once and for all, and die. And then have Rey just live on and leave a dead Ben Solo as the cave begins to collapse. That, I think, would have been a more proper ending in my eyes, but I guess, of course, they want to tap into the romance a little bit, which is fine, I guess, because we haven't really seen any form of romance in The Rise of Skywalker, so I totally understand if you guys out there and girls out there love the scene where Ben Solo transfers his life force over to Rey, allowing her to live and allowing him to die. It's a selfless act. The other thing that I really dislike down to the core, is how Rey becomes a Skywalker. And basically the entire title of this movie, literally the entire title of Episode 9 is Rey becomes a Skywalker. Rey becomes Rey Skywalker because she identifies as a Skywalker, because she wants to take the Skywalker name. So, not only does she take the Chosen One title, and not only does she destroy the Sith, such as Palpatine, but she also becomes a Skywalker by choice. Not because she's related, but by choice. And at the very end, the only two Force Ghosts that we do get are Luke and Leia. There's no Anakin, there's no Yoda, there's no Kenobi, and there's no presence of Ben Solo. And that's another big mistake, is that Ben Solo does not make his way into the netherworld of the Force. Basically, it seems like what happens is, due to him saving Rey, he cannot become a Force Ghost, from what it seems. And a lot of people may interpret it in a sense that maybe now Ben is somehow a part of Rey, and maybe that's how she becomes a Skywalker. You know, there are, fans out there that will rationalize it that way, which I can understand, but I just feel like that her becoming a Skywalker is just out of this world crazy, in my opinion at least. That's just me being honest. To be honest here, I think that when we look at the very end of this film, a lot of fans are going to feel betrayed because they look at the title called The Rise of Skywalker, and they're going to expect something to do with Luke and or Anakin for the actual title of the movie, or even Kylo Ren at that point. But it all has to do with Rey at the end of the day. So, with that being said, guys, I would really like to hear what each and every one of you have to say about this entire scenario at the very end of The Rise of Skywalker. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.